No lo olvidaré. Ahí, creo, ¿no? No sé, no me acuerdo, ya no me acuerdo la última vez que entré. Tiene que compartirme ese vaca. Ah, buenísimo. Ah, que tú la hiciste. ¡Hala! Ya. Sí, no, bueno, no. Te tiraría viral, ya te lo digo yo. Mate algún video, te tiraría viral. Lo bañaron. Claro. Lo único que después asociarían tu nombre a la vaca de Toris. Tu perrea una vaca. Sí, 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 sí. ¿Cómo, cómo? Ya. Sí, 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 sí. Claro, no, ni a mí tampoco. Que hablan temas muy triviales o cosas un poco trascendentales. Qué tremendo Godzilla acaba de pasar. Real. Nah, te lleva así, sí. Pues al lado de ti no te dice cuenta, creo. supone que es un hámster, ¿no? Una mezcla de hámster y... Mm. Hámster de tamaño. 503 y mal no estoy, creo que te lo salvaba. Claro, claro. No lo puedo creer. Qué día de suerte, man. Y se hace grande y todo. y trabajas en la noche, no es increíble. Ay, mm, sí. Me ha hecho algo que debería ser hecho con temporada que acepte tantas solicitudes que llega a tener más de 600 por ahí. Una locura. Uf, al, a la vez. No. Me senté todo un fin de semana por depurando eso. Mm. A veces no lo había escuchado. Spanish Voice. Mm. Buah, pero qué enormes. Interfase más grande. Sí, sí, sí. Sí, sí.
¿De dónde eres? ¿No eres de Madrid?
Acabo de decir. Una vaca.
¿Eres de Valle? ¿De Chueca?
No, de Checoslovaquia.
Madre mía.
Qué mentira, estoy vacilando. Soy de Móstoles.
Sé buena, sé buena, sé buena, sé buena, sé buena.
Lo siento, un poco jocoso.
Buenísimo, buenísimo.
Soy de Móstoles.
¿De Móstoles?
Sí, como DJ Mario.
De Móstoles City.
A Móstoles a pegar.
No puede ser, este tío sigue aquí hablando.
Sigo aquí, hola.
Sigue aquí, bro, sigue aquí. Bro, que escúchame que... Escúchame una cosa, el Juan No, no, escúchame, el Juan se mete los dedos por el ojete y lo llama diversidad de género.
Ya se me ve. Oh. Dios, qué divertido ser vaca, te lo juro.
Tiene lo suyo, tiene
Para,
lo
para.
suyo.
O sea, cuando estás aburrido, literal, y no sabes qué hacer, conviértete en vaca.
Buenísimo,
Te lo
buen
juro.
tip. Buen tip.
Cualquier juego que tenga voice chat, te vas de vaca y ya, o sea. Lo que no sé lo que tengo equipado en la vaca. A ver. Es que no sé cómo me lo monté, pero tengo en plan como accesorios muy raros puestos. Mira, de piernas tengo. Tengo de piernas. Tengo puesto esto, mira.
Wow.
O sea, me compré esto y luego abajo tengo. Ok. Y a la cabeza que tengo. La Heldes. Sí, porque si no te pones la Heldes queda como un bulto raro, ¿cierto?
Ya. Sí, sí.
O sea, es una putada. Pero bueno. Está bien igual. Ujú. Hay juegos buenísimos. Tenemos que jugar un día a Black Hawk. Risky Mission. Es un muy buen juego.
¿Cuál?
Black Hawk Risky Mission, ¿te suena?
No, no me suena para nada. ¿De qué trata?
Es un tipo shooter.
Ok.
Mira, sí, mundo abierto. Donde también tienes modos de zombie donde tienes que sobrevivir en una ciudad
Anda.
post-apocalíptica. Y
Wow.
gráficamente se ve increíble.
Nice.
Muy buen juego, la verdad. Arisa. Mili Tokyo. Hospital. No. Dime que ese juego no es. Hospital de animal.
Sí, sí,
Ah,
sí.
vale, no.
Vale.
Pensé que era un rol de...
¿De?
Espérase. De veterinaria, en plan.
Ah. ¿Qué?
No. Post Pet Hospital. Hay un juego de veterinaria.
Ok.
Increíble. Está buenísimo. Mira, echar un vistazo al...
Definitivamente la playa más hermosa que he visto. Se me empezó a caer el tinte.
No, ese es.
where we want it to be. So final format and lock and hit.
Básicamente puedes hacer cualquier cosa.
You see that my name is fully typed out for us. So now that we've typed this command, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, with all.
Mírate este vídeo porque es bastante interesante. Y aquí te explica todo. Literal.
Vale.
Este sistema es el mejor de todos.
CMDR Admin Script 0.
Tú míratelo. Míratelo porque puedes literalmente customizar cualquier cosa en el admin. No sé, no es broma. Puedes añadir cualquier cosa. Digamos que quieres un script y puedes crear un comando para activar ese script, ¿sabes?
¡Hala, qué cool!
Y es como muy customizable. Mucho.
No, ahí le echaré un vistazo.
Sí, se un vistazo rápido, o sea, no es...
Claro,
Tú
claro.
míratelo. A ver. Por el resto yo me iré a dormir ya, creo.
No, bueno, descansa.
Me
Bueno, porque yo
traigo.
creo que me estás contagiando, ¿no? Porque de repente empezó a bostezar.
Sí, no. Ay, Dios mío. Esto lo voy a apagar por si acaso no quiero que nadie vea lo que estoy haciendo. Ay. Listo. Pues descansa mucho.
Chico. Igual, cuídate.
Nos vemos. Igual,
Chao.
nos vemos.
Today, we're going to be adding admin commands to a Roblox game. This command system is incredibly easy to set up and comes with some amazing features like auto-completion when typing out a command, custom types to suggest different arguments as you write out your command, permissions for specifying who can or cannot use your commands, and much more. Now, in order to add commands to a game, we're going to be using a library called Commander, but it is spelled C-M-D-R. I'll leave a link down below in the description
Powering off.
on this library. For the most part, it is very easy to
Powering
use
on.
and work
Mic
with,
off.
but at the same time, it can be a little bit challenging. Today, we're going to be adding admin commands to a Roblox game. This command system is incredibly easy to set up and comes with some amazing features like auto-completion when typing out a command, custom types to suggest different arguments as you write out your command, permissions for specifying who can or cannot use your commands, and much more. Now, in order to add commands into a game, we're going to be using a library called Commander, but it is spelled C-M-D-R. I'll leave a link down below in the description to the documentation on this library. For the most part, it is very easy to use and work with, while at the same time, it can be a little bit challenging, and depending on how far you want to go with this, it can become very complex. Now, while it can become very complex, keep in mind that whenever I use this in my own projects, most of the commands that I actually write are to help me debug different systems that I'm creating. One example of this would be, imagine you just created a shop system, and inside of that shop system, of course, you're selling different items for different amounts of coins. But what I want to do is I want to test being able to purchase an item, so I would want to create a command for giving myself some coins. And for a command like that, everything that we're doing is still very simple, and it really isn't getting into any complex realms. So for the most part, this library is as complex as you choose to make it. Anyways, with all that being said, we're going to want to go ahead and actually download this library. In order to download this library, I would recommend going down below in the description and finding the link which takes you to this GitHub page right here. Now, depending on when you're looking at this, the Commander version might be a little bit different. Currently, 1.12 is the latest version, but now when it comes to downloading it, it should pretty much be the same no matter what version it actually is. So on the releases page, you're going to want to scroll down a little bit until you see contributors, and then you should see asset section. Once you see asset, you should actually see a couple of different files that you can download. And the file that we want to download has an extension of RBXM, and it is called Commander. Now I'm pointing out the extension of RBXM because we know that that is a file which can be imported directly inside of Roblox Studio. So that's how we can easily tell that it's the correct one. Anyway, go ahead and click on the file name, and that should prompt you to download that file onto your computer. Now that we've downloaded that file, we're going to want to go ahead and insert that into Roblox Studio. You should be able to just directly drag and drop that file from wherever you saved it at into Roblox Studio, but in case that doesn't work for you, what you're going to want to do is right-click on any of the services inside of the Explorer and then select the Insert from File option. Once you click that, you're going to want to go to wherever you saved the file at, select the file, and then go ahead and click Open. That should then directly insert a module script called CMDR inside of your workspace. And that means that we have officially imported the library into our Roblox Studio. But now we need to store this library somewhere, and the place that we want to store it at is actually inside of the server script surface and inside of the folder called Packages. So let's go ahead and drag and drop the module script inside of that folder. Sweet. And now that we've done that, we've now put the Commander library exactly where we want it to be. So now that we've added the library to our project, let's begin setting this up on the server side. So we're going to go inside of the server script surface, and we're going to go ahead and create a new folder. We'll go ahead and rename this folder to be called CMDR. I keep wanting to say Commander, but I feel like if I say we're going to name the folder Commander, you're going to think we're literally going to type out the word Commander. But anyway, going further into the video, anytime I say the word Commander, keep in mind that usually for typing something, we're literally going to type out CMDR, not the actual word Commander. But I feel like it makes a lot more sense to just say the literal word rather than spelling it out every single time I'm referring to it. Now, inside of this folder, we're going to want to go ahead and add in a brand new script. Of course, since this is a normal script, this will load when the game starts up, And we're going to use this script to basically set up everything that we need to set up for Commander. Anyways, let's go ahead and rename this script to be called Commander as well. And now that we've done that, inside of our script, we're going to want to go ahead and create a variable for the server script service. Now that we have the server script service, we're going to want to go ahead and require the Commander library that we stored inside of the packages folder. So we're going to go ahead and create a variable called Commander. Then we'll go ahead and require that module, which is inside of the server script service, inside of the packages folder, and it is called Commander. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is actually create 3 folders inside of our Commander folder. So I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new folder. This first folder, we're going to go ahead and rename to be called Commands. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that folder by hitting Control D, or you can go ahead and right click and then click duplicate here as well. Now the second folder is going to be called Hooks. And then we're going to create one final folder, which is going to be called Types. Now the commands folder is probably the most self-explanatory one. Inside the commands folder, we're going to actually store module scripts, which we're going to write, and then the Commander library will read from to understand how we have our commands set up. But then hooks and types, on the other hand, are a little bit harder to explain, and I think that they'll be easier to explain as we further write out the Commander startup script, and I explain all of that inside of here. So, going back inside of our Commander script, what we're going to want to do is create a variable for each of these folders. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called commands, and now we'll go ahead and point that to the commands folder. So we'll go ahead and say script.parent.commands. Now, like I said, commands are the actual commands that can be ran in the game. Then I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called types, which is going to be for the types folder. So we'll say script.parent.types. Now, types are used to define custom types to use as arguments of our command. Commander comes with a few built-in types, but we want to add in our own depending on the specific command. One example of using types would be if we created a command called give currency. We would want to create a currency type, which would be a string that is either coins or gems. So we would want to be able to specify the specific currency that we would accept as an argument so that it can be auto-completed as we're typing out the command. And now for the final variable that we're going to create, that's going to be called hooks, and then we're going to go ahead and parent that to the hooks folder. Now, hooks are functions which are called when a command is used. There's 2 different events that we can hook onto for when an event is ran. The first event that we can hook onto is called before run, and that event is called before a command is ran. So one reason that we would hook into this event is because it's perfect for setting up a permission system. Before a command is ran, we want to verify that the player who is trying to run the command is actually allowed to run that command. And the second event that we can hook into is the after run event. And the after run event is of course called after a command is ran. And this event can be useful for hooking into because we can create a logging system to log which commands are being ran and different things like that. Now Commander actually requires us to use at least a single before run hook before commands can be used in the game outside of Studio. This is to prevent people from adding commands to their game and then allowing anyone who knows how to use Commander to actually run them. Now, if that's kind of confusing you at all, don't worry, it's really simple, and as we go through this, you'll definitely have an easier time understanding. With that being said, the next thing that we're going to do is actually register the default command that Commander comes with. Now, keep in mind, if you don't want to register the default command, you definitely don't have to. Commander itself comes with a wide variety of commands that we can instantly use in our game if we want to. Some of those commands are kill for killing the player's character, humanoid, and we even have a kick command to kick any player from the game that we would want to. So to register the default commands, we're going to go ahead and say Commander to use the library. Then we want to use a method of the library, and the method that we want to use is called register default commands. And it is a method or a function, so that's why we need to use the parentheses to treat it like it is. And you probably realized as we were typing that out, this library actually has 0 auto-completion, at least when it comes to scripting. But when it comes to actually using the commands in game, that's where the real auto-completion comes in, and it is very useful in that regard. But like I said in the beginning, this library is very easy to use and work with, but also at the same time, it can be a little bit complex, and this is one of the areas that I was talking about. So anytime we're scripting with Commander, we're pretty much left on our own because there is actually no auto-completion. So when you're writing any of these things out, you need to make sure that your spelling is identical and your capitalizations are all correct and everything else like that. Otherwise, it's going to be super easy for you to run into different issues. As you follow through this video, if you run into any
Crecer su cabello durante 10 años. Solo 2 metros de largo, por fin pudo darle el uso que tanto quería. Cuando lo trenza, su cabello funciona literalmente como un látigo real y el sonido que hace al golpear el aire es impactante. En las redes ya lo llaman el Rapunzel de combate, asegurando que un solo movimiento de su cabeza podría noquear a cualquiera en la cara.
Pelotas atoran el aro. Normalmente los jugadores saltan y la sacan de ahí, pero cuando...
Bien dicen que Dios le da las batallas más difíciles a sus mejores guerreros, ¿eh? Y este crack lo acaba de demostrar, teniendo la tentación ahí al lado.
La grande no tuvo tiempo durante el juicio, así que habló más rápido de lo que tenía que decir. Se arregló un coche, soy mecánico. Se cambió una bombilla, soy electricista. Se quedó a estudiar una vez, soy profesor. Entonces, si te engaño una sola vez, soy infiel. No, no.